So I'm old school military, so if you're on time, you're late. We got a lot to talk about today. I want to start off with understanding that tanto que critican y al final, so much that they have to criticize, and in the end they're all worse than me. Understand that people are going to criticize you, whether you do good or whether you do bad, but it's what you do with it. My father would always tell me that it's only a mistake if you do not learn a lesson from it. So mistakes turned to lessons learned are some of those things that I have endured in my life. You have to make a commitment to be trustworthy and kind today, because you never know what someone else is going through. And this is something that me and my cousin talk about quite a bit, that in secret you need to think of every battle that you have faced alone, and it might help you to understand the actions of someone else and what they're going through. You know, as well as when you shut down, you cause confusion. People don't know what or if the mistake that was made. I remember when I was in ROTC and when I was in the Young Marines, they would always tell us that water was dirt. Wherever we were marching, wherever we were performing, that you just have to continue to move forward, or it causes confusion. If you make a mistake, people don't know. You know, but it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to learn a lesson from that. So what happens? In turn, the mistake turns into that lesson learned. Now, if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, yes, it's going to stay classified as a mistake. But that's what my father would always try to explain to me, was that it is okay to make mistakes. It's how we learn. So, you know, you have to learn to be vulnerable in a way that others were not expecting from you, right? And whatever happens, you just try to react with gentleness towards yourself. And when you are with someone else who has had a mistake, you need to have the willingness to listen to them and make them feel that they are not alone. And it is a lesson. And Angelo, you can attest to this by the post that you made about what happened. And I appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think that that particular lesson learned really helped me, because that was a difficult day to receive that call. And I'm glad that it wasn't anything else. For those of you who would like to follow, please check out Angel's World. She's amazing. You know, understand that you're enough. And I said this yesterday when we were talking, and you don't have anything to prove to anybody. You don't have to regret for having a good heart. Because let me tell you, I have made several mistakes just in the last day or two. Hey G, thanks for coming in. Please share to your platform so we can get some more people in here. We're talking about mistakes turned to lessons learned today. You know, it's great that you have a huge heart, because it feels like there's not too many people like that anymore in this world. And remembering to have that good heart and understanding that all those good things that you do with that huge heart, they're going to come back and they're going to multiply. Earlier today, the phones weren't working. I'm sure that everybody had to deal with that. That was so weird. It was like we had just had this conversation and we were talking about, if the internet were to shut down or communications were to shut down, that we could still go out and we could do our job. Not our remote job, but our passion, our skills, our God-given gifts. Angel is a nurse, and I work in emergency management and homeland security. So she'll be out there helping all of these victims, and I'll be out there directing the chaos, because that's what I do, is I calm the chaos, right? I called myself on the phone because I was just angry that we didn't have service. There was so many things that I needed to take care of, so many things that I was working on. But at the same time, it gave me a moment to just stop and enjoy the silence. You know, I made this mistake of being angry because I couldn't talk to the people that I normally talk to every day. That was a huge lesson for me. And when I'm reading the word and God is telling me to slow down, that's what he's talking about, is enjoy the still, enjoy that calmness. And so I caught myself and I literally picked up the phone with no service and was like, hey, you need to be a little kinder to you. Like, calm down, right? Cyber attacks. It's true. There's so many things. And I was waiting to figure out and find out what it was that was going on, because I was completely taken back by it. You know, when you're going through the process of trying to understand that mistake that you made and really trying to learn a lesson from it, you have to trust your intuition. And this goes for maybe somebody that made a mistake with another person. Maybe you didn't trust your intuition when it came to that particular person because you have such a big heart, because you are, hello, welcome, thank you for joining. If you're just coming on, we're talking about mistakes turned to lessons learned. Please go ahead and share so that way we can get some more viewers in here. You know, you've got to trust your intuition. For those of you who enjoy reading, I would suggest to read a book that is called The Gift of Fear. And it's by Gavin de Becker. I read it when I was studying psychology. And basically it reminds you that that particular feeling that you get in your stomach when something's going to happen, you should trust it because it's your intuition. It talks about this time where, hi Queen Bean, hello, welcome. Please share if you're just joining. We're talking about mistakes turned into lessons learned. And in the book, they're talking about if you go out into this dark parking lot and you feel this kind of weirdness in your spine, in your neck, in your stomach, and you're just like, you see this man standing over by his car, you know, it's an empty parking lot, tons of cars, but empty of people. And hi, Alma, welcome, thank you. You feel like something's going to happen. Go back into the store. That is your intuition. And you have to learn to trust that when you are making decisions. You have to learn to trust that once you have made that mistake and understand that it is going to be something that you are going to learn. You know, that's your inner compass. And often you have to switch directions in which you're going so that way it becomes your best guide for moving forward. I mean, the path is at our feet, wherever it is that we intend to go. And whether you realize it or not, there are so many artists that have helped us to understand every mistake. You know, when I was young and I was in middle school, Pink came about. She was in her goth days. She had the short, spiky, pink hair. That is something I always wanted, but my parents wouldn't let me do that, and I wanted to do it so bad. They had us have super long hair past our waist. We couldn't even cut it till I was a sophomore in high school. I don't even know why. But artists create such different music, and they have been through so many things as well. I remember that when I first started on my live, I told you guys that my dad called it and said that I was going to be an artist. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining. Please stay. We're talking about mistakes turned to lessons learned. Please share as well. He called it that I was an artist, and he also said I was going to save the world one day. I'm working on the second part, okay? So another favorite artist of mine besides Pink is Lady Gaga. Pink was in my younger days when I was really finding myself and trying to live as uniquely as I could and embracing who I was. There was so many times that I didn't want to go to school because I was going to be judged because of the color of my skin, because I had froey hair, because I talked and had an accent, or because I was louder, because when I get excited I start talking fast, you know? So what I do? I would talk about other people. I would fight with them. Both of my parents worked for the school district too when I was in middle school. So you can imagine the surprise when they were getting a call that I was going to go to in-school suspension because I was fighting. You know, I had to understand that what I was doing, it was a mistake. To be worried about what somebody else was thinking. And Pink helped me so much to grow in that time of my life where I had to accept who I was and embrace who I was and understand that it was okay that I looked a little different. Even now, sometimes I get a little taken back when somebody looks at me because I'm dressed different or because I speak different or because I look different. You know, we all bleed red regardless of the race that we are, the country that we're from, what we sound like, what we look like, how we like to dress. Thank you for joining. Please share if you're just coming in. Being different is definitely perfect. And that's exactly what she talks about in her song. I'm going to go into that a little bit. You know, I love when Lady Gaga said, don't be insecure if your heart is pure. Because in a crowded field, I know that I still have the ability to stand out. And that is a huge ability because there's some people who want to stand out. There are some people who want to be in a crowded room and still be able to just be that one unique person. And I want to inspire that self-worth, regardless of whatever mistakes that you have made. Hi, little queen. Thank you. Please share if you're still here. Hardships, they're going to remain. But that good heart that I were talking about, oh, thank you. They're Ray-Bans. You know, I got them whenever I was going to move to Austin because I was like, ooh, I need some Austinite glasses so that I can fit in over there. Because I had like just the normal flat pair that probably a lot of people have. It was a peach color. It blended in with my skin. Anyways, that's besides the point. They're super cute. Thank you for the compliment. It's okay to keep that good heart till the end. Whatever the end is for us. Understand that you've got to find a purpose. My purpose is to serve. My purpose is to protect. And I want a lifestyle that I could live every single day, regardless of the mistakes that I've made, regardless of what I have done, because let me tell you, I've done a lot. I've done a lot to other people. I've done a lot in my relationships, to my friendships, because I was healing and I was growing. And for some strange reason, there's so many people that are not in my life as far as like my close friends, that they had been here for at least 10 years plus. Or a relationship that I was in 10 years plus. You know, I didn't communicate. I didn't go to therapy. I didn't talk about what happened to me when I was a child. I shared with you guys a little bit of it, but I'm going to have another episode where we talk about the trauma that I experienced as a child and what it does to you, what it does to your life, different types of trauma that I faced through my life now as an adult. You know, our time on earth is best spent in devotion to something. A cause, a community, a religion, a person, a place, a thing. Just pursue a lifestyle with happiness, regardless of where you've been, regardless of what you've done. Don't define anything. Don't define how you're critiqued. It's this ever-changing culture. It's going to continue to change. It's going to continue to go backwards, forward, sideways, upside down, in a circle, clash. Just like what's going on in the world right now. You know, when I was talking about Pink, it's the same way that I feel about Lady Gaga. I thought, wow, how amazing if I could just have the courage to not care what anybody else thought about how I dressed or how I liked my hair or how I spoke or the fact that I loved spending time with my family instead of the local hangouts with the other kids at school. And that song that Pink wrote, Perfect, was such an eye-opener for me. It came out 10 years after my primary years of school. So I graduated in 2000. The song came out in 2010. And I was still being worried what others thought. And I'm sure that's hard for y'all to believe that know me, since I seem like a confident person. And sometimes, though, in one thing or another, who doesn't care what others say? I mean, when you care about what others say, it's because you care about yourself. It's because you care about what you're doing, where you're going, what you look like. And I grew up in this time that our family preached, the church preached, that we had this image that we had to portray, and we couldn't stray away from it, you know. And Pink said it so well in that song. She wrote Perfect to promote embracing your true inner self and not changing who you are to conform into society. So when I was going through the struggles of the things that happened to me when I was younger, I had, hi Pablo, welcome, please share. We're talking about our mistakes turned to lessons learned. You know, I didn't tell people that I had been raped as a child. What do? You just meet someone or you're in a relationship, be like, oh yeah, by the way, I was raped from the ages of 6 to 11. Poster child? No. Sympathy? I don't want it. You know, I didn't understand that these artists were going to be so motivating for me and so uplifting and reminding me that I had to look past any imperfections that I had for myself. And that I had to tell myself every day that I am truly perfect in every single way. Oh. It's easy to tell yourself that, but to just have one person who believes in you, to have one person who tells you that was my father for me. No matter what I did, he always told me that I was perfect. He always found a way to make me feel perfect. He'd always be like, hi Paul, welcome. He'd always tell me that I was so fucking perfect, just like the song Pink says, you know? I mean, he always told me that I was beautiful. He always reminded me, you know, if I had any issues with the way that I looked, that I needed to do something too about it. I needed to embrace it. That I needed to understand whatever I looked like, and that if I wanted to make a change, then I had to do it. You know, this is one thing that I'm working on right now. It's knowing that I'm not right all the time. I know that's hard for you to believe because my little love would probably say different because I'm right all the time. I don't want to be right. I just want to be heard. I just want to be validated. And I want the same for all of you as well. And not only for social media, but in real life. Por favor. Y gracias, okay? Aprovecha el máximo de tu vida, por favor. Make the most of your life, because passion is the driving force behind success and happiness, you know? You can turn a hobby into a hustle. I mean, Geneva, right? You know how to turn those hustles with Erica's business. She enjoys doing that. And that was her side hustle, right? Now she's got you into it. And y'all are all doing it together. Before you know it, Austin's going to be doing it too with his little paws. You know, I love talking. And I know y'all know that. And I love writing. I've been writing a lot consistently, probably for the last 2 to 4 years. So everything that I'm talking about now is everything that I eventually wanted to put into a book. And eventually I'd like to turn all of this into a podcast. That would be amazing. But I'll start my own podcast here, the way that I'm doing with you all. You know, don't let anybody dim your excitement. That was such a mistake that I did most of my life. When I was in those relationships with other people and I allowed them to create my path based off of whatever their path was. You know, somebody that I was with for such a long time said, oh, you're a 911 dispatcher. What do you need to go back to school for? Oh, I'll definitely give you a copy with it. All right, it's signed, sent to you. They told me that I didn't need to go back to school. I didn't need any more education. I already had a job. I already had a career, because they had a career. They were a police officer. I was a dispatcher for 911. And that was great. And I loved it. And I still love it to this day. And I would still go back and I would do it. Hi, welcome. Thank you. So I was in school, I was in my second year, and I was in the first semester of the new year, and they were like, oh, well, it costs too much money, like, you just need to quit. And I was like, what? I don't want to quit. They were like, you already have a job. It's fine. Why are you going to pay more money? Like, we could use that money for something else. So I stopped school. I didn't even finish the semester. I was so mad at myself several years later on. You know, before that relationship started, I got accepted to be a police officer in a small city that is close to here that I think is extremely beautiful. And they asked me to stay because they thought that we had something. Who does that? Who asked that? Who says that to somebody? Dimming my light, right? No. I mean, it's never a mistake. Like I said, once again, and I'll repeat it, my father said, a mistake stays a mistake. If you learn something from the mistake, then you've definitely made a lesson learned. No one, and I mean no one, is better than anyone else, and my heart is so sad for those who think that they are. You know, my little love makes me feel so humble. Hi, welcome. Please share if you're just joining. We're talking about mistakes turned to lessons learned. I don't know who people think they are, but what I was saying about my little love always making me feel like I am so great and that I'm better than everybody else. I'm not, but I love that they make me feel that way. Thank you. Regardless of how big your house is or what your car looks like, the amount of money that sits in your bank, because mine's been several times this year, it's been $0 through the whole last year. Understand that death has no discrimination, and neither should your life. So, mistakes that I made, you know, with my child, arguing, fighting, not hugging enough, not being loving enough, not holding enough, not buying them enough, not being there for them enough. But I didn't know how, because I didn't ever have that. Although my parents were there and they were uplifting, they loved me and they were so great, like that thing that you're supposed to learn, like the coddling phase that they teach you in psychology, that wasn't there for me. I missed that. I needed that. Plus, I was a young teen mom. And we'll talk about that in another episode. But my biggest mistake was not learning more on that. Now there's so much literature out there that can help you when you become a mother and you're young. You know, it teaches you things that you can do with your child, different exercises on getting them to communicate with you, or how to do this or how to do that. But when I was 17, there wasn't that help. People just thought like, oh, you're alive and your kid's alive, you're doing a great job. They're in school, they don't have absences, you're doing good. They didn't tell you about all the other stuff that you needed to be all warm and fuzzy. You know, I had hugs. They showed up to all of my events, and I'm so thankful for that. And don't get me wrong, my parents are super duper supportive. Today we're talking about mistakes turned to lessons learned. You know, and so now, hi, welcome. Please share so we can get some more people in here. Thank you. I appreciate you all. I wanted to break those generational curses that were sent down the line from the family. And with my granddaughter now, I've learned to talk a little bit more. We talk about everything. She's 4 years old. And we talk about everything. We talk about our makeup. We talk about our hair. We talk about our feelings. We talk about our problems. We talk about things that happened. You know, sometimes probably my daughter doesn't like it very much, but I don't very rarely bring up the conversation. She brings it up to me. I just listen and I ask questions. And here's Frida Kahlo again. She loves to come and say hi. She likes the camera too. Also, yelling, screaming. That, I don't do that anymore. I got on my daughter a lot. But I had a lot of this is this and do that when I was growing up by my parents, because they wanted us to be a certain way. Like I said earlier, we had this image to portray. And even if they weren't yelling, they were like, you have to do this and you have to be this way. Who cares if that's what you like? And who cares if that's who you are? We love you who you are, but you have to be this way. There was no step outside the lines. You had to do this, and that was it. And, you know, I probably did that a lot with my daughter. I was tough on her. She was my only child. I never got to do it again. So they always say, you know, with your second child, it's a little better, a little easier because you learned a lot from the first time. But from that mistake that I made, now I've been able to learn, and I'm going down a different path with my granddaughter. I'm so much more patient. I'm so much more kind and loving, and I hug her, you know, and I tell her that I'm thankful that she shares with me when something's wrong. And I still want to respond sometimes the way that I did with my daughter to my grandkid, but I stop. You know, and then I have my niece. Oh, the most beautiful girl in the world, let me tell you. And she reminds me to be patient. She is so patient with my granddaughter. It's so cute to see them so close. I love it. I always wish that I had that person in my life like that, a little older than me when I was growing up, guiding me, helping me, letting me be me, sticking up for me. But I'm learning. And I'm trying to show and teach the next generation that even when you make mistakes, it does not mean that you're a bad person, you know? Again, death has no discrimination, and neither should your life. Don't discriminate on anybody, or especially yourself after a mistake. Be kind to others. We're all here to serve, so stop that whole power trip. Your oversized ego is not going to get you anywhere. Please be humble, be human, and be kind. That's what my tattoo says here in sign language. Be kind. Remember, everything you work so hard for, it can be ripped right away from you in a split second. So please be thankful for what you have. I mean, in reference to some making mistakes, have some contentment and satisfaction and even appreciation for those mistakes. They all occurred along your journey. And you're blessed because you've already begun to learn more by making mistakes. And that's right. The worst thing to do is nothing. Do nothing in response to a mistake, especially when somebody tells you. And if you're hearing the same thing over and over again, stop and listen and really process what that other person is telling you. Because if you're hearing it multiple times, you probably are, you know, doing something that you could do better. But you'll all learn a lesson from it. A lesson that I was taught over this last year is it's okay to not always be seeking some more. You know, after my daughter's father passed away, I didn't seek anything. All I sought was to get up, go to work, and come back home to my little apartment on the couch. I was so happy that I just made it to work and made it back because I was so scared to leave. I didn't understand that somebody being shot and killed that I loved so much was going to influence my life. And I didn't know that that particular trauma would give me anxiety, would leave me feeling like I couldn't go outside. I didn't even want to go back home because I was afraid. Like, who did it? We still don't know. Is it somebody that I knew, that I know, that's here standing with me, among me? But you know what? I started reading, and I read and I read and I read on trauma, and I read what people go through when something like that traumatic happens, and I accepted therapy again. That was my lesson learned. Because now, if it occurs with somebody else, I'll be able to help them. Sometimes sometimes resting and allowing yourself to really heal and to grow, it's going to leave you with this unsatisfiable desire for more than what caused the suffering. And as your lessons learn that appear out of those mistakes, they remind you that what you went through didn't kill you. That was a huge lesson learned, because there's so many times that little things occur I'm glad. And I'm really glad that I was able to do that. And I truly believe that God gave me this voice because when I speak, people listen. And it's not just because I'm so loud when I talk. I'm Latina, por favor. Okay, I talk loud. I'm sorry. But I went through those things, and I went to therapy so that I could help other people, so that I could show them that it was okay to get the help that you need. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. I mean, sometimes you don't have to cling to the experiences that you went through. Those things will often get out of control. You were worried about what everyone would think that, right? That is exactly what it felt like when I was laying on that couch every single day, crying and binge eating, making myself so sick. It was terrible. But I didn't know that I was feeling that. I didn't know what I was going through because I was so consumed with what was going on with my daughter. Was she okay? How was she? That I didn't even stop to think about myself. I just kept going home. I just kept looking for her. I just wanted to see her. Even if she didn't want to see me. Even if she didn't want to talk to me, I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to show up because I didn't know what else to do. I had never been through this before. Ever. But that was my mistake. Is that I wasn't allowing her time to process. I was making her cling to that experience. And that got out of control really, really fast. You know, it led me to dissatisfaction with myself. But we can always aim to cultivate an inner peace, and that's what I did. Because I didn't want to stay behind. I wanted to move forward. And I knew that if I didn't get up and start going to the gym, going to Zumba, working out, eating better, posting and writing again, that she was going to stay behind too. So I accepted that this occurred. I gave gratitude to God for keeping me alive and keeping her safe. Even if she didn't feel good, even if I didn't feel good, we were alive and we were safe. And I thanked him for all that I had. The opportunity to have this job, the opportunity to have an apartment in a new city, something that I hadn't done because I was so close to my family. I just wanted to be with them. Whew. Thank God for not making me this regular gal. Thank God for letting others view me as weird, but I'm really unique. And that's what my dad always told me, you know. When I'd come home crying about other people calling me weird, he was like, you know, you're just so unique, mijita. Nobody's met people like you before. Nobody has met anyone like you, and they don't know how to handle you. That's why they call you weird. Another lesson that was served to me this last year is that I have to continue to take care of my inner beauty. Because my inner and spiritual beauty is what is going to reflect in my face. And I remember telling my friend Tortilla, after looking at some photos through this last year, I was like, what was I doing that I look so young and so fresh and so happy? And she said, life. Because it reflects in your face. You know, and my cousin Angel periodically reminds me that God gives us beauty. And whether that beauty remains or changes, it's determined by our thoughts and by our deeds and by the way that we're living life. Remember, you all, with these mistakes that we're talking about, if it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. I recently made the mistake of being upset by family members and friends forgetting about me since I'd moved away. Forgetting about me because the things that I used to do for them or with them that I couldn't do anymore, or because I didn't want to do them. Hi, Jason. Thanks for joining. Please share so we can get some more people in here. You know, the things that I couldn't do for them anymore, that I didn't want to do things with them anymore. The way I see it now, after all, is that solitude was my awakening. And you know what? If people don't give me a seat at their table, I'm going to bring my chair. Or I'm going to bring a ladder and I'll invite myself, because there's many tables that I've invited myself to, and I'll continue to invite myself to those tables of power. I'm a teacher by training others and gifting others with the knowledge that I've acquired over my life. And let's not wait for permission anymore to learn from our mistakes. So that way we can just get rid of that word mistakes and just keep it as, oh, another lesson learned. I learned another lesson, okay? Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your community. Stand up for Texas, you all. Please. I encourage others who feel underrepresented with things that are going on in Texas to take their own rightful place in our government. You know, the pastor at my church spoke on being an influencer and asked, well, what was I doing to make a change towards all those problems that I was complaining about? Man, he was so right. That was a huge mistake on my part. I was steady sitting there complaining about how all the things were changing in the kids' schools, what they were eating, what they were reading, but here I am working with opportunities for the Latino community in education, attending the movement for the Hispanic community with the White House. You know, look at me today now on this pod. That's what I learned in that particular moment of complaining when my pastor spoke out loud. I had to do something about it. What could I use besides my schooling, besides my career, besides my money or my $0 bank account? I could use my voice to educate people on things that they can do to improve their life, to improve their families, to improve their relationships, to improve themselves. I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all just be a little more gentle with each other? And if you can't find your own inner peace, you're not going to find peace anywhere else. And I think that was a huge lesson that me and my friends and my cousins had to learn this past year. You don't have to let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace. I mean, if there's any peace to be, it's going to come through not having it. So don't confuse peace of mind with insensitivity or being mentally checked out, because I've had to mentally check out several times as I've grown and as I'm healing. There's so many things going on around me that are coming at me that I could join in. Yes, for sure. Amen to that, for sure. I mean, I just shut down. I just get quiet. And I don't mean shut down when I don't speak and let them know what I feel or what happened after, but I definitely will shut down and walk away and mentally check out. Peace of mind's completely different. And don't lose your inner peace, you know. It's truly sensitive when you have this peaceful mind. And it can get triggered like that. It can get hit like that. But when you have peace, buddy, you're so aware of what's coming on. You're so aware of what's going on around you, so that way when it does and it hits a nerve, you don't react. Because I've done that several times. You know, don't lose your inner peace for anything or for anybody. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining. Please share. We're talking about our mistakes that have turned into lessons learned. Even if your world seems so upset, you're the sky. Everything else is the weather. And peace has its own reward. It's the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than how you think that it should be. Let me say that again one more time. Peace is its own reward. Peace is a result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than how you think it should be. You know, my favorite boutique posh couture, shout out to Ness, last year she said this post, if you give me a crappy vibe, well, guess what, sis? The same energy is going to be given back to you every time. You know what? And what I've learned from that particular post is I don't have to give that same energy. I could just take my own energy and go elsewhere. That's what checking out is mentally. I love to say this prayer, and I know one of my best friends, Memes Yo, will remember it, this for sure. Thank you, God, for all of my blessings and all of my struggles, even the ones that I have yet to receive. I mean, with all that's going on in Texas, we truly are blessed for what we have, but I understand that there is going to be a lot coming. Like the current moves that Greg Abbott suggests, with the state's participation in preventing illegal border crossings. That doesn't show any signs of stopping anytime soon, you all. This has been about a month now that the U.S. Supreme Court allowed federal agents to demolish the barriers besides the southern border here in Texas, but Texas forces are still holding their ground. And actually, they're going to put up more barriers, like razor wires, shipping containers. They've already been put there to become barricades. A little further down, past Eagle Pass. I mean, this has me feeling multiple ways. I'm not sure how you guys feel, but I'm pretty sure y'all have something to say about it. I mean, I saw one of I saw one of the most recent reports showing that illegal crossings had actually decreased in Texas. And now they're moving to larger parts of the country, like Arizona and California. And I read last week that Abbott announced the construction of his 800-acre base. And in the next few weeks that Texas would be expanding north and south of that area and putting up those other borders to strengthen our border. I mean, I truly believe that we've really forgotten the Lord nationally. You know, I ruffled somebody's feathers saying this yesterday at a store that I stopped at. They were not having it and told me, why was I advocating here when they were serving? They should have done this and done that. And, you know, I just stopped and shut down and I said, thank you for your opinion. I wasn't even talking to them. I was talking to somebody else in the store. And I told them, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. He's like, oh, I guess I got shut down. Oh, I guess I got checked out. No, I shut you down. I shut myself down. I checked out. You know, the reality is that lots are not following God. And I believe in Texas that we need it. He used to always be included in there. I don't know what changed. One of my faves, and not just because my daughter's father was Isaiah, but because the book of Isaiah has more promises to us than the rest of the book. This that I pull from the book of Isaiah. Then I said, woe is for me, I am ruined, because I am man of unclean lips, and I live among people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. I mean, this time in the world, you know, this is your wake-up call to be renewed. God wants us to be different. And I'm blessed that I'm a sinner saved by grace. Trust. As all of my mistakes will show you, I am blessed that I am a sinner that was saved by grace. And all the events going on in Texas, we need to listen to these warnings of God. Listen to the movements that He's making. I want this fresh movement of spirit. I want God to move and have His way in my life, in my world, in Texas. I want God to move through Texas. I can't expect God to help me move in others and in their lives if I don't let God move in mine. And He warned me, and I listened to the warning, but without movement. I cannot expect Him to help me, to help others in the world, if I don't let God move in my life. Because He will continue to warn you. He warned me, but I didn't move. I didn't do anything. Just try to be a little more humble, okay? Be humble with yourself. Be humble with others a little more each day. And be fully committed to doing that. Not just today. Not just one time. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining. We're talking about mistakes turned to lessons learned. Please share. You know, He wants us to do so much. And I want to do so much, but I can't. Not without faith. I realized that over these last few weeks. I was just so down. I wasn't doing anything. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to come on here. I knew I wanted to speak and motivate and inspire, share, and give my knowledge back to the world. You know, I cannot hold God back in my life. If I am, I'll be disobedient. It does get exhausting. It does get exhausting, yo-yo. Sometimes, you know, just have a little faith. I know that if I don't take Him seriously and I don't repent and honor His word, I know I'm going to miss His greatness, and I do not want to do that. I really pray that God hears us yearning for our nation, for our state. I love Texas. You know, He told me God, be peculiar. Peculiar. Be peculiar. And I think that I'm doing a pretty good job at that. He told me to be different and not to follow this world. All those things I was talking about earlier, struggling to accept who I was, struggling, you know, to not be concerned with what other people thought about me or what they wanted for my life. Yeah, what they wanted for my life. God told me, you don't want to be on the wrong side of history. No. So here I am trying to be on the right side of history, not following the world. God's word means something. You know, I know that I'm not honoring him in certain ways. And it leaves me with these feelings of resentment, anger. I feel like I'm taking 100 steps back. You know, when you are backstabbing people, when you're gossiping, when you're doing things that you should not be doing, that's your own life. Do whatever you want. But I know how it makes me feel. Remember that right actions for the future are the best apologies for the wrong ones. So for those of you that are struggling to learn your lessons from the mistakes that you have made, remember that your right actions for the future are the best apologies for the wrong ones in the past. And whatever you want emotionally, you have to start giving away. Be more open and honest with your stories by sharing your own emotional truth, opening yourself up to receive as well. That was what my New Year's resolution was this year. I wanted to work on receiving the blessings that I knew were for me. I want blessings for everybody else, that sometimes I stop the blessings coming from me because I'm so worried about everybody else getting their blessings too. You know, when you share your own emotional truth the way that I'm doing here, you're opening up yourself to receiving. And be mindful of what you say and how you share it, that people are accepting of it, because it's okay to speak up. And it's okay to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, but learn from it. And don't continue to do the same thing. Thank you. Thank you for the love. You know, give yourself validation of your own emotions. To each their own. In all things, it's better to hope than to despair. And courage is the price that life extracts for granting peace. I'm going to attend this women's luncheon in another few weeks. And we can learn from women in history, you know. I'm so excited to go. We can learn from the women who stood up for things. I talked about Ida B. Well in one of my pods. The courage that they had brought so much joy, not only to their lives, but to others. And I truly believe that that is what I am doing. The courage that I am having, the courage that I am putting forth is bringing joy to my life. You know, you got to have the willingness to push those boundaries. It's the cost of admission to such a vibrant life. Bravery only exists where there is fear. And without courage, we will not experience true peace or freedom. There's going to be years that you ask questions. Then there's going to be years that you get the answers. It's not the things with the joy or that happen, but it's what we do with them, the tolerance that we give them, like any aspect of peace. It's forever a work in progress. And I know Fawn, she knows that very well. Like any aspect of peace, it's a forever work in progress, right? For sure. I mean, with joy, with pain, tribulations, I'm learning that the reasons behind some of the events, they don't make sense, but not immediately, at least they don't. You're thrust into these confusing situations where you end up making mistakes, but then you have to trust that the meaning of it are the lessons that are going to be taught to you. And they're going to reveal themselves in time. So be patient with yourself. I'm not going to be scared of this world anymore. I'm not going to fear God. He accepts me with my mistakes. He wants me to make them so I can continue to learn. He also wants me to follow him regardless if I make those mistakes or not. I'm not going to fear the world's opinion of me. And I really do pray that God's going to cover our land. You know, Josiah means God heals. And trust me when I tell you that my heart is open. I love him. And I'm doing my best to obey him by making the changes and trying every day. My dad would always say to me and my sisters and anyone that he talked to, you just have to get up every day and try. You just have to get up and try. I mean, the conviction from God where he wants me to change, I'm going to trust him. That he's going to overtake it and he's going to put me where he needs me to be. This is where he wants me to be right now, so I'm obeying him. And I thank him for not being done with me. Oh, Lord, I thank you for not being done with me. And there's no other place that I would rather be than here in his love and here with all of you all. And I really appreciate you all joining, and I appreciate you listening. And I will share the YouTube channel later that I'm posting my lives to at a later time in case you guys want to go back and you want to listen to them. I'll post a recap for you. If there's anything else that you want to talk about, if there's anything else that you think that would be a great episode, please let me know. You can send me a message, you can comment on any of my videos. Please share, and please be kind. Please remember that right actions for the future are the best apologies for the wrong ones in the past. They're always going to criticize you, right? Sometimes they're just a little bit worse. Just be kind. Thanks for joining today, y'all. I'll share again when I'm going to go live and what that topic will be. Thank you for all of the love.